Good evening, I'm Jim Whaley. Anytime you use superlatives, you're bound to run into trouble from somebody, but I think I can safely say that my guest tonight on Cinema Showcase is one of the world's best actors, Mr. Jack Lemmon. And it's a pleasure to have him back on Cinema Showcase. His new film, Tribute, is one of his best. We'll have several scenes from that picture to show you, so stay with me as I talk with Jack Lemmon tonight on Cinema Showcase.
Do you know what you said about me last night? Even if you were justified, I can only tell you that it did not fill me with parental affection. Get off my back here and stay off it.
No. You have walked away from every responsibility you've ever had.
Oh.
Well, I'm not going to let you walk away from this one.
No, I understand. Now I'm going to be suffused with guilt, right? Maybe I'll atone with some stupid, meaningless gesture, right?
Well, it might just give you a little self-respect.
This may come as a surprise to you, kid, but I am loaded with self-respect.
All right, then. Do it for me.
For you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, why?
Because I need you.
Oh,
and when I needed you before, you weren't there. Well,
God
God damn it, I need you now.
Where were you when I needed you?
What?
Jesus, I guess there's no two-way street, is there? Huh? Where the hell were you when I was in the middle of the city knocking my ass off looking for a job? Where were you? Where have you been for 2 solid years, kid? Isn't that funny? I haven't seen you rushing madly to keep your old man company, I'll tell you.
You never insisted that I come.
It was your choice. You shouldn't have given me a choice. It. Okay, look, let's just say that I'm not the father that you always wanted, all right? Has it occurred to you that you are not the son that I always wanted?
Thank you very much for joining Cinema Showcase tonight. And Jack, thank you so much for taking this time out. It's good to be here talking with you again.
Thank you.
You have played a great number of extraordinary comedy roles, a great number of superb dramatic roles, but in your new movie, Tribute, you have the unique chance really to do both, don't you?
Yeah.
Was that a challenge?
Well, in a way, but also it was obviously part of the appeal. To me as an actor, it's so hard. Well, first, it's hard to find a good script or a good play, and be it a comedy or a drama. And in comedy, I think in general, just to digress for a second, it's even tougher because I think that it's more difficult in general to execute comedy successfully, you know, as a writer, director, and/or actor. To find the two combined is very rare. To find it done well, you know, and written successfully. This part in Tribute, I think, is easily the best that combines both comedy and drama since back in the early 60s with The Apartment that I found that worked.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried it a couple of times where I've tried a lot of things that haven't worked, but it's the first since The Apartment that really worked well.
Why is there still this feeling, though, among so many people that comedy is somehow easier to do?
I know what you're going to say. Yeah, I don't know why. They don't take it as seriously also. Before we started, you know, we were talking about awards. Over the history of major awards, not just the Oscars or whatever, you'll find 5 or 6 to 1. Writing, directing, and actors, it will be in drama as averse to comedy. But as I said, comedy is really more difficult. Even within the trade crafts, within the film people themselves, they still don't even realize it. I don't know why. It's never quite treated as seriously. But there's nothing more serious than comedy in the execution of it, or even in what it tries to say, because the best points really are made in comedies very often compared to drama.
Yeah.
They'll touch us somehow even deeper. Points can be made through humor more lastingly. Is there such a word? I don't think so.
That's a good word, though.
But why not? We just coined a new word. But more tellingly, let's say, when they can be made. But I don't know why. They just don't treat it as seriously.
Let's talk for a minute about the character you play in Tribute, which you created on Broadway. What do you like most about the character of Scotty?
His weaknesses.
That's interesting.
I'm intrigued by characters that have weaknesses. I love that challenge of trying to take a guy who really is a ne'er-do-well, who never knuckled down, just shunted people off in his life, emotionally destroyed people, but didn't mean to.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't that he's not the overt Richard, you know, who's going to run around and maybe murder somebody, or who's an egomaniac. It's just that he would never knuckle down and commit to anything. He'd marry somebody and then just leave her and leave the kid, and the kid ends up stuttering by the time he's 10, and yet people love him. Well, with all those weaknesses, how the hell do you play somebody and make the audience care?
Mm-hmm.
That challenge is interesting. Plus, I think just as a human being, Lord knows I have weaknesses, and we don't know each other that well, but you've got them. Everybody has weaknesses, and it's certainly the opposite of the black and white hero, you know, the fellow in the white hat, who's the character of whom is epidermal. I mean, there's nothing really there. You don't have to dig and find out why does he behave this way. What are his problems? Why is that? And if you can finally get to it, then maybe empathetically people, either directly or indirectly, will understand. It doesn't have to be in the written word, but they'll feel it. They understand, yeah, he just did something he shouldn't do, but he didn't quite mean it that way, you know, and there's reasons, and we understand, we see ourselves and our own weaknesses there, and we don't necessarily come away saying, the guy's no good, and I don't like what that fella said, therefore he's no good. It might make you think for a second that there's got to be a reason why, maybe, he did that, you know, or behaved that way. I don't know, it appeals to me.
All right, now when you first got read the script for the play and subsequently the film, did you immediately get a handle on this character?
No.
Did it take a while?
Oh yeah, it always does. If it's good, you don't know how to play him, and that's part of the appeal.
Yeah.
And also, strangely enough with me, if I'm a little afraid that I can't, and I might not find out how to play him, or maybe I just don't have the talent to play him to get all of that character. If that fear is there, you'll do your best work.
Well, somebody told Betty Davis says the best advice she ever got was that, I think George Arliss told her, never be afraid to hang yourself, to go
Exactly,
out, you know.
yeah. You know, being in this business over the years, and not being so young anymore, an awful lot has been written about me. And there's one phrase that a friend of mine, when he was interviewed by a writer who was researching me and going to people that had known me, a friend of mine named Freddie Jordan, whom nobody would know, that I went to school with and had known me since I was a kid in school. And we have been close ever since. And I'm now 55, and that was when I was 13. He said one thing that I kind of loved. I was never aware of it, but he obviously meant it. He said he always had the grace to make a fool of himself. Now, what a combination. The grace,
yeah.
but to make a fool of himself. In other words, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Mr. Arliss was right. You've got to. You know what stops everybody from in anything? Forget acting or forget the business. Failure never hurt anybody. It's the fear of failure, I think, that stops anybody from doing anything, no matter what business you're in or what you're doing in life. It's the fear of failure, and especially in America, I think. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we equate success with money.
Exactly.
And material things, you know, and that's supposed to be success, which is unfortunate because that's not it. But, or shouldn't be it. It's go down this street, for God's sake, don't go down those alleys you're looking. You know, it looks attractive. Don't do that, don't do that. Stay right here. Just do that because you won't fall off the curb that way, you know.
I read a quote, I believe, that you had said one time that one thing you hoped you would instill in your son, your own son, was to not to be afraid to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's working.
Yeah.
As he's 26 now, and he's sensational. I don't want to talk like a father, but he is sensational, and we are very, very close. It's the opposite of tribute, this is happening day by day, more and more. His willingness, even in class, as an actor. He's an actor and a composer. He's willing to get up and try something insane in front of people, and that's the toughest thing. You know, the greatest way I know how to put it. Roz Russell, who was one of the most adorable, wonderful ladies I've ever met in my life, just as a human being, aside as an artist. When she was asked by a bunch of kids in a class that were interested in the theater, what is it that you really need? What's the most important thing that you need to be successful as an actress or an actor, period? She said, the toughest plateau, the most important thing, above and beyond any talent or intelligence or anything else, is the ability to finally be able to stand up in front of an audience, stark naked, and turn around very slowly. Now, she wasn't being literal.
Yeah.
What she meant was to get up and
Sure.
just let it all hang out, and don't try to be protective. Don't play the part this way because that's safe.
Mhm.
Take the chance.
Sure. I think everyone might assume that because you, or anyone has played a role on Broadway for any number of performances, that it's therefore supremely simple to bring it to the screen. Yet that's not really true, is it?
No, it's not. It has, the pluses outweigh the minuses. Because the one big advantage is that you have what you never get in film. You have played it in front of an audience.
Mhm.
So you don't have to guess if this is the way, especially with the comedic parts. I know where the laughs are in tribute, instead of guessing, as I've had to do on film and other parts, because we had the audience, and if it didn't work, then you try it a different way the next night, and then you find out. But the problem is you get into, you play a part for a year, as I did, and you're playing it here, and the balcony is way up there, and
Yeah.
but now you try to bring it down to where you're doing nothing, in a sense, compared to that. And if you don't, it's going to be too big. It's going to be much too
Sure.
big, you know. But the pluses outweigh the minuses.
You really have to trust your instincts and your director in that case, don't you?
Yeah, very much so. I'm glad, and I think what really helped me was the fact that I've had so many years in film. That even though I played it that big, I would find myself starting to fall back into it in the middle of a scene. I'd turn to Robbie, and I'd go, "Huh!" and I'd start to make a gesture. My arm would be 8 feet out of the frame, you know, and that was just great on the stage.
Yeah.
But forget it, a look would do it, you know. As George Cukor pointed out to me in my very first film, my dear boy, your eyeball is 3 feet wide. Don't blink. But it does. It just a wink or a look replaces some great big gesture, you know. On the
You
stage.
mentioned Robbie Benson. I want to get in a plug for him. I thought he was superb in this
isn't
film.
he something else? I think this, I say open a new career, I started to say. He hardly needs that. He's got a wonderful career, but it does open avenues for him,
Yeah.
which is great, because he displays aspects of his ability as an actor that he hasn't had the chance to do before.
And this is the first time you've worked with Lee Remick since Days of Wine and Roses, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, sitting there watching the film of tribute, and just having seen Wine and Roses, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I couldn't help but remark to some friends, Lee Remick has not aged.
No.
She looks incredible.
No, isn't it great?
Aside from being a
And
brilliant
that's
actress.
up here, I swear. I mean, she's gifted physically, you know, she's a gorgeous lady and everything, but she is mentally so, it's like we picked up from where we were 18 years ago in the other film. And she's got the same enthusiasm, the same pace of speaking. There is no aging process in that girl. It's amazing.
Billy Wilder made the comment once that you were born to be an actor, that was kind of delivered with you at birth. And I think he said that if you hadn't been an actor, you would have ended up, playing piano in a whorehouse. I thought
A Chinese whorehouse.
A Chinese
I think
whorehouse.
he said, yeah. He could have been right.
How accurate a quote is that from Mr. Wilder?
Well, I don't know if I was born to be, but I must say that with all the good luck I've had, the great good fortune was the fact that acting worked for me. Because from the time I was about 8, I'm guessing, but it was around 8 to 9, where I did my first play at, I had done one play when I was 4 or 5 with one line with my father and mother in a sort of semi-pro thing. But when I was about 8 or 9, I did a school play, and I was hooked. And that was it. I wanted to be an actor from that moment on. I never thought of being anything else. If it hadn't worked, I don't know what I would have done. I really don't. You know? And I'm worried about whether I could have made it in a Chinese whorehouse, because I only play by ear, you know, and you run out of material after a while.
I've got to ask you about a film that I know you're asked about all the time, but it is a big favorite in Atlanta and all over the cinema showcase area, as it is all over the world, and that's Some Like It Hot.
Oh.
After the movie was made in 1959, when that script was first sent to you by Billy Wilder, What was your first reaction to it? Did you think it was hysterically funny when you first read it?
Yes, but I tell you, I committed without a script. And I really went home after it happened. I'll try to make this very brief. I was eating with Felice, my wife. She was not then my wife. We were going together and everything. And I had met Billy Wilder, the great Billy Wilder, once or twice. Hello, how are you? But I didn't really know him. At a little joint called Dominic's that we love. It's just checkered tablecloths, and his wife makes the chicken and so forth. And we're sitting there, and Billy was across the room, came over, pardoned himself for interrupting us during a meal, and said, "May I sit down for just a moment?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Look," he says, "I'm writing this script." I do a terrible station house accent, but Billy, I don't think he really has an accent anymore after all these years, but he does it. He likes it. And he says, "I've got this thing about two fellas, and they're musicians, you see. And they see the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and they recognize these guys are going to go boom, 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 boom. They're going to kill them. So they join an all-girl orchestra in order to escape from the gangsters that are going to go boom, 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 boom. And for 80 to 85% of the picture, you're in drag. You want to do it?" Well, I thought he was crazy, and I said yes. The light went off, honest to God. I said yes. He says, "I'm not fooling." I said, "Nor am I." "Yeah." Now, Felicia looked at me and she said, "You're going to what?" He left. She said, 85% of the film you're in drag, and you're saying yes, you haven't seen this guy. I said, he's a great, great filmmaker, etc. Now, months went by, I didn't hear anything. Then comes 60 pages, is all. I was then single and living alone. I remember vividly sitting and reading those 60 pages, and I fell off the couch at least twice. They were the funniest things I knew. I knew then that, thank God, my instinct, the luck, you know, because Lord knows I've made some big turkeys too that I thought were going to be great. But I was right.
You know, of all the brilliant scenes in that picture, I think perhaps the best is the one where you announce that Joey Brown has proposed.
Yeah, I'm engaged.
That you're engaged. That is a classic.
This man is such a writer. Now, he has his two leading men. In the second half of that film, Tony is with Marilyn, and they have long scenes and so forth. I'm not even there. Every now and then he'll cut, and I'm dancing with Joey Brown or something, but I have no scenes, I have no nothing. Then he comes back, and I have that one scene where I'm so swept away with the whole idea of this rich man who's nuts about me that I don't see anything wrong in getting married to him, right? That scene is only 1 page long, but he gave me the muchachas, or maracas, or whatever you call them, because every line was such a gem that he had to fill so that the laugh wouldn't take, rub out the next line. But you can't just sit and wait for it like on a stage. You've got to fill it legitimately, because you're never sure, as we were saying earlier, you're guessing in film. At any rate, that scene goes on for about 3 minutes. It's only 1 page long. It is just about the most brilliantly written and directed comedy scene that you could ever hope for.
It is.
I agree with you.
It is.
I think that whole thing is a classic. I think the script should be sent to students in every college as writers or anything. It's a brilliant fire. He's written another one that I'm going to do called Buddy Buddy. I'm going to do with Walter.
Fabulous. That's for Metro, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, next month. I swear to you, it's the funniest. I hope it ends up that way, but it's the funniest script I've read since then.
There's another line, just to digress a minute back to Some Like It Hot, that I think is one of the best, where you two are fleeing the hotel after you found out the gangsters are there, and you say something like, "I'll never find another man who's that good to me again."
I lost it. Yeah.
But it's a marvelous
line. The jewelry or the bracelet or something.
And then another you say,
another man like Osgood, or something
like that.
Is
that good to me,
or was that good to me, or what,
Brilliant.
Because there was never a tint at all, of homosexuality or anything in it. That's what was so wonderful.
Yeah.
There was we never even thought about it, And yet he could make you believe that a guy could actually be serious about getting married to a guy without thinking.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm a man. I don't know how he did it. But
and Tony Curtis says, why would a man want to marry another man? And you say, security.
Yeah.
Wonderful. In tribute, we see shots of you playing the piano, one of your own compositions. And as a collector of Jack Lemmon albums, I'm wondering if there are going to be any more.
I don't know, but if you have one of my albums, you better hold on to it, because it's an annuity. There's you, the Smithsonian, my agent, my mother, and me. I think they only pressed 5 or 6 of whatever I ever did.
No, I've got a twist of Lemon and Irma la Douce.
There may be, because I've got 4 or 5 songs now that are, Sammy Kahn has written a lyric, Alan Lerner wrote a lyric to the one I wrote for Tribute, and things are beginning to cook now.
Great.
And so maybe, because I always just write songs for my own amazement,
Yeah.
I think a little bit may happen now.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, and there are two actresses I want to ask you about that you worked with. One actress you worked with in your first couple of films, and that's Judy Holliday. She had a rare gift.
Oh, you betcha.
There have been few, if any, comedians to equal her. And the other is Marilyn Monroe. We've got about a minute. What can you say about two people like that?
They were both unique,
Yeah.
but totally different. Judy was the talent. I'm not saying that Marilyn wasn't talented. I'll get to that, and I'll do it as fast as possible. She was a brilliant, brilliant actress. She also had an IQ of 1,000,000 or something, but she played the dumb blonde. And she was hardly that. She was one of the nicest. Well, the reason I went into movies and stayed in movies as averse to staying in the theater in New York was because of that first experience, my first film being with Judy, and then my third one with her. That did it. I moved, and I began to appreciate film, and also I realized that it wasn't just a medium for curly-haired young fellas or something or other. Marilyn had the unique talent of being able to use what talents she had completely. She was a marvelous comedian in her way. I think that she always wanted to be taken more seriously as an actress and less as an idol.
Yeah.
You know, a la working with Lee Strasberg
Sure.
and Paula and everything. A withdrawn, unhappy girl who just dropped the scrim if you tried to get too close to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Jack, we
That's
are out of
sweet.
time. This, once
I'm
again, has
sorry.
been a pleasure, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have, very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Right now, we're going to take a look at several scenes from Tribute.
Thank you.
You look marvelous. Mwah. How's that chap you live with treating you, huh?
That chap I live with has just been made a full professor, and he treats me very well.
I'm very happy for you, Lynn.
I know you are. You're better
Thank
qualities.
you. Maybe the only one. Hey, what are you doing in New York?
Came to see Dad. He's in a nursing home.
How long you been in the Teamsters Union, son?
What?
You missed it. God damn, it just sort of slid right on. The hell with it. How are you, son?
Fine. Just fine. Good to see you, Dad.
What the hell is this? Are we in a Chevrolet dealers convention? It's a nice doing business with you, Sam. Come on and give your old man a sloppy bear hug like a proper son. Ah, that a boy.
Have you told him yet?
Huh? What? Tell me what?
A friend of Don's has offered Judd a teaching assistant job this summer.
Where?
Berkeley. It'll help with the tuition and be great experience.
Experience for what?
Teaching. I've decided that I want to teach.
You want to teach? Why this sudden urge to become Mr. Chips?
Yes. Well, let me try to answer that question.
Well, it's not a press conference, kid. Just relax. When does the job start?
They wanted me immediately, but I managed to put them off for a week so that I could visit with you.
What the hell do you mean? You're only going to be here a week?
That's okay with you.
Okay with me? Well, I just wish you'd consulted me.
I would have, but... Well, I knew it wouldn't make much difference to you one way or the other.
You know, we always did kid around a lot, but I would like to ask one serious question. Who's his father?
You know, a couple of years ago, I came across some of those stories you wrote before you went to the coast.
You never told me that.
They were very good.
No, not really, no.
I thought so, yes.
You did? Wow. Well, that's... Well, they fooled a lot of people, Judd. Well, hell, that's the story of my life, son. All the form, none of the ability.
That doesn't explain the quality of the work.